Ministry is back, which is supposedly their second to last album before they call it quits. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what Al Jorgensen is telling everyone. But who knows? Because this new album, Hopium for the Masses, was supposed to come out 6 to 8 months after the release of their last album, Moral Hygiene, which was released back in October of 2021. As you can see, it came out a lot later than that. Back then, he also said that this new album would have an arena rock sound, but I disagree. It's typical Ministry. He also said this band would disband in 2023, and the last album would be a re-recording of their first album called With Sympathy. If you don't know, the first Ministry album did not sound anything like the band does right now. It was a synth pop album that was closer to the sound of Depeche Mode, and that came out back in 1983. I don't think any of this is true, but who knows? We're here to talk about the new album called Hopium for the Masses. I remember this album was announced last year. They even released the first single called Goddamn White Trash about 6 months before this album even came out. With that being said, this is another Ministry album. It still has everything you would expect. The heavy industrial sound, lots of sound bites. The lyrics are very political. Most of them are against right-wing conservatism, and we have a guest appearance by Jello, Biafra, the singer from the Dead Kennedys. So I'll be talking about all of that in this video. The first track is called BDE, which stands for Big Dick Energy. This is a typical industrial metal song. It has a slow and heavy groove to it. The lyrics are all about the manosphere and incels. They talk about guys who wage war on women because they can't get a date, and how they would rather get a gun and kill people. It also talks about controlling women's bodies, which hints at abortion laws. The lyrics are also about the red pill content, which is on the internet right now. It's a pretty good opening track. It's very catchy. The guitar riff is heavy and sludgy, so I thought it was one of the stronger tracks. The second track is Goddamn White Trash. This one has more of an old school Ministry sound. Reminded me a lot of the sound from those Psalm 69 album, use of samples and the repetitive chorus. The main guitar riff is similar to this Rammstein type of guitar riff. The song also has Pepper Keenan from Corrosion of Conformity. Songs about extremism in America. Al Jorgensen also repeats the line, "We need your help," that further reinforces the message. The song also hints at people getting indoctrinated into these right-wing extremist ideas. Just Stop Oil was another one of the singles. This is another typical Ministry sounding song. It uses a lot of sound bites as well as some cool surf guitar riffs. The meaning of the song is pretty straightforward. Al is telling us we need to stop relying on fossil fuels to evade the environmental crisis. Lyrics are very critical of the government and how they do not care about the consequences of their actions. They also talk about corporations, calling them corporate devils. It was a pretty good song. It has lots of sound bites, heavy guitar sounds, everything you would expect from a Ministry song. Aryan Embarrassment starts off with a riff that reminded me a lot of Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss. It's one that had more of a slow and sludgy type of sound. When the main riff kicks in, it sounds like a typical thrash metal guitar riff, a mid-paced chugging sound. The song has Jello Biafra doing some vocals. He has a unique voice, and that makes the song stand out. The song continues to mock right-wing politics. They repeat the line, "We must confront our enemy, we must confront history." That hints at the possibility of Donald Trump winning the election again. TV song 1/6 edition is a continuation of the TV song series that has appeared on multiple Ministry albums dating back to the Psalm 69 album. The song has a very fast drum beat, some metal guitar riffs. There are lots of sound bites and heavy bass guitar sounds. The song New Religion starts off with a guitar riff. Again, reminds me a lot of Slayer. This is heavy, old school thrash metal. I thought this was a pretty good song. It's very representative of their sound. It has a lot of energy. The lyrics talk about things like Fox News, and it continued to make that right-wing politic commentary. It's Not Pretty is, in my opinion, one of the better deep cuts. This is a two-part song. The first half is slower. There's more acoustic guitars. It reminds me of back in the early 90s when bands tried to sound a little more alternative. The album Art of Rebellion by Suicidal Tendencies came to mind on this first half. Then the second half just turns into a typical Ministry song with some faster beats, heavier guitars, and the song in general talking about or describing an apocalyptic future. That's pretty much the gist of it. Cult of Suffering is probably the strangest track in the album. It has more of a danceable beat. There are some female R&B backing singers throughout the entire song. Al Jorgensen is singing as if he were some type of foreign guy with an accent or something like that. It's not bad. I would say maybe one of the weaker songs. It seems to have the same ongoing beat, which makes it a little monotonous, but it's okay for me. The last song is called Ricky's Hands. This one has a sound that's a throwback to those early electronic synth bands such as Devo, maybe a few others. It has that early 80s electronic sound. It has a danceable beat. There's not a lot of heavy guitars in it, and it's kind of a strange song. I tried to listen to the lyrics. I couldn't really decipher any meaning to it, but it's a decent track to end the album. And now for my final thoughts. I guess my assessment is going to be similar to what I said about the Bruce Dickinson album, is that I like the front half of the album better than the second half. Second half was just okay, or maybe just like the last 3 or 4 songs. Most of the weaker songs were, towards the end. I think the exception is It's Not Pretty. That was a decent one. But otherwise, it's a typical Ministry album. I would say on par with the last album. The band has been pretty hit or miss over the past few years. I would say this one is decent. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 just because if you're a fan of Ministry, you would like it. It's only 40 minutes long. It's easy to listen to. It has a pretty decent replay value. I listened to it about 3 times already. That is all. Let me know your thoughts on this album. Check out my review of Moral Hygiene. I'm going to stick that right here. I did that back in 2021. Please like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews. I do rankings, and I do a lot more. And I will see you in the next one.